This really is the dream, isn't it? I'm in my leathers, the racetrack is dry, I've got a fast 600cc super sport motorcycle waiting for me. And it's got a price tag that in the next 7 or 8 years, with a little bit of stealing and a lot of borrowing, I might actually be able to afford. Let's see if the 600cc super sport dream actually works.
You might think that a 675cc engine in the 600cc Super Sport class is a bit of cheating. But that's only if you're actually going to race and have to meet some rules. In the real world, both the 636cc Kawasaki ZX6R and the Daytona 675 show that using the extra cubes to make extra torque at reasonable RPM is a good thing for street users. So unlike most of the super sport motorcycles that are barely awake until you hit 10,000 RPM, the 675R feels pretty good by 6 or 7,000 RPM. That rabid howl as the engine crosses 13,000 RPM is a whole different kind of thrill. The precise sort of thrill that you want from a sports motorcycle.
The whole crux of the super sport experience is how does this thing go around corners, and this thing is actually quite good. What it wants to do is make you feel really connected. It's a very stable, responsive chassis, changes direction without too much inertia, but at all points what is whispering in your ears is that the chassis can do this another 20 kilometers an hour faster. The question is, as the rider, do you have the skill and the courage to make that speed happen? Every time you do, the chassis rewards you, but as a super sport motorcycle, what it wants you to do is bring that commitment to the table every single time.
And when you make it work really hard, you'll realize that the 118.5 PS the Daytona makes at 12,300 RPM is actually plenty of power for this package. The Daytona weighs 187 kilos wet, and that's pretty light. What it allows the engine to do then is to shoot the motorcycle out of corners very hard indeed. And that's where the R's Öhlins suspension comes in. The base Daytona is identical to the R in every way except for the suspension. The 41mm Kayabas are replaced by 43mm Öhlins with the full range of adjustments, and the Kayaba at the rear is also replaced by a fully adjustable Öhlins unit with 4mm more travel. What that means to you is that as you evolve as a rider, you have fantastic suspension on the R that can adjust to your riding style. Is it critical to you as a new rider? Perhaps not. But valuable? Certainly. At the track, running the setup we got, the Daytona 675R felt precise and well-mannered. You could ride it hard into corners and then find great confidence at the apex before hammering the rear into action on the exit. But the thing is, if I were riding more on the street than at the track, I'd back things off. I'd make the ride more plush and absorbent, and the motorcycle a little more neutral and less front-heavy. That's the critical difference, I think, between the 675 and the R version. With this one, the R, I can do these things. What else do you get with the R, which is roughly rupees 1.5 lakh more expensive then?
This, of course, is the 675R, which means you get a little bit of carbon fiber like this, but the money really goes into high-end suspension like that Öhlins unit you can see. But if you look at the styling of this motorcycle, I think Triumph could have done a more distinctive looking motorcycle. But if you think of it as a 600cc super sport, this is what they're supposed to look like. It's a narrow, skinny motorcycle, all the bodywork's tightly wrapped, and it's relatively small. And I think that's what makes it so right for India. It's a light, really fast motorcycle that will work well on the street and work well here at the racetrack as well. No doubt that the 675R is an extremely effective, fast, efficient super sport motorcycle. But before I tell you that you should be spending your money on it or saving a little bit money and getting the base 675 Daytona, the question that you have to ask yourself is, do you really want a super sport motorcycle? Because while they're very rewarding to ride and very thrilling, they do require a lot of commitment. Those bars are going to punish your wrist. You're going to be a little bit physically fit to be able to actually handle this kind of power and commitment. And the point is, if you want a motorcycle that you'll really ride, you need to ask yourself, how often are you going to come to a situation like this, where the situation is perfect for the motorcycle, it's a racetrack, you can go fast and all of that. And if that's not going to happen to you very often, get something easier, get something more accessible that you will use. Like for example, the Street Triple. Except of course in India, the Street Triple makes 79 PS, not 100. And if you really wanted 100 PS, this would be a good way to do it. But to me, the 106 PS Street Triple, that would be the ideal Indian motorcycle.